Welcome everybody. You may have stumbled across this video or this playlist by accident. Perhaps if you're a student within one of my classes, I'm forcing you to be here. Either way, thanks for joining me. Mindfulness. It's kind of a buzzword these days, but what does it even mean? Usually when I ask my students the first day of class, they say mindfulness. That means to be aware or to be present, right? Well, sure. But mindfulness is a lot more complex than that. Let's take a deeper look at what it means to be mindfully present. Now, mindfulness has 4 components to it, and those 4 components all work together to help you become more mindful and focused in the moment. The first of those 4 things is pretty much exactly what I said at first. It's the concept of being present and focused in the moment. You're not thinking about something that happened earlier in the day, something that you have to do later. You're really focused on what you're doing right here and right now. Second, all of this is happening on purpose. It's not happening because something loud went off behind you. Squirrel! Or because somebody screaming. This is an intentional choice that you're making to be present, to be here right now. Third, you have the ability to notice things that are new all around you within that moment. You may be noticing something for the first time, or maybe you're looking at something that you've seen a million times a little bit differently. Fourth, and finally, you're accepting things non-judgmentally as they occur. And when I say non-judgmental, most of us have a tendency to think of something bad. Like something happens to me and I'm like, wow, that's really crappy. Judgment can happen positively as well. As things happen to us in the moment, we have a tendency to kind of retreat back into our minds and to think of things as being either good or bad. But as we start to think of those things and we place those judgments on them, we're not really being present in the moment anymore, but really we're kind of being more inattentive and stuck inside of our head. So what's the opposite of mindfulness? Well, it's pretty much exactly what you'd expect it to be called. It's mindlessness. Now that may sound bad, but mindlessness actually works together with mindfulness. Our minds are not capable of taking in every piece of stimuli at every given moment. If it did that, pinwheels in my head, voices, angry fish! Mindlessness and mindfulness work together to prioritize where we place our attention. Mindlessness takes everything else and it puts it on autopilot while we mindfully focus on whatever it is we're choosing to place our attention on. There's a very delicate balance between mindfulness and mindlessness.
You gotta have balance.
And that balance is kind of difficult to achieve sometimes. Most of this happens pretty much automatically. We'll be mindful about something that our attention gets drawn toward. We'll be mindless about everything else in the moment. But the key here and the challenge here is really to learn how to be more intentional about our choices, what we're going to place our attention on, and what we're going to resist in terms of distractions. I don't need to tell you that we live in an incredibly distracting day and age. Squirrel! In fact, I think that intentional mindfulness, like I described with all 4 of those components, is more important to us now than at any other point throughout human history. Over the course of this video series, whether you stumbled across this or whether I'm forcing you to because you're a student in one of my classes, we'll take up that challenge and we'll learn how to become more mindful within all of our relationships. So if you like this concept, give this video a like. If you are a miserable, unhappy person who doesn't like fun things, go ahead and give it a dislike. And if you want to follow along with the rest of this series to learn more about how mindfulness can benefit our relationships, click subscribe.
Just do it!
And thanks for joining me.
Make your dreams come true!